So meeting to order, and this is the Planning Commission meeting of December 7th, 2023, 7:30. We're in room 133 of the Brookfield Town Hall. So as far as who is here and who is not, I am Scott Dale. I'm the Vice Chair, the Acting Chairperson. Michael Duvall is here. You are the Secretary. Linda is not here, John is not here. We do have our newest regular member, who is Courtney Knapp. Welcome to the Planning Commission. And we have Mark Lowengart, the alternate, and Aga Stepniak, who's the alternate.
Okay.
We're both here. So both of you, so we're missing two folks, so both alternates can be voting today.
Great.
All right. Good. So we have a quorum. We're ready to go. Item 2 is the approval of the minutes of the previous meetings. Now, we do not have enough members here, I believe, who are at either of those two previous meetings in order to approve those minutes.
Okay.
So we'll have to pass those along to the next meeting for approval. Okay? All right. Let's see. We do not have any old business here. We do have some new business. So item 4A is 9 Forest Trail, PL-23-7. Mark K. Johnson owner, application for a lot line revision. And going through my notes here, I understand is that we got an email from the applicant after the agenda was posted, and they are withdrawing. So we can proceed with no further action on this.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman, yes.
Okay, great. So that is all we need to do for item number 4, okay? So item number 5 is a public hearing. We'll have that at 7:45. So we can move along to the next area, which is 6A. We're going to discuss the 2024 election of officers. As I pulled up this, the process as it's been, and as I've experienced as well, and I'll just read it. This is from the we have bylaws, I guess. Nomination and elections, and so what it is basically at this meeting in December, we can appoint a commission or to determine who might a couple people, 2 regular members, who will then put together a slate for the upcoming year. All right. Then we convene in January. We discuss that, and then we can vote on it in February. Okay. Everybody understand? And
Okay.
and only regular members can vote on that as well, from what I recall. No alternates. So I will suggest, actually, I guess as the acting chair, say that we will have this nominating committee, and I believe it should be myself and Michael, who is here right now. Michael, is that good for you?
Sure.
So basically, we'll get together and put together that slate.
Okay.
All right. Any questions, thoughts, concerns, otherwise?
That was
All right. So we'll come back, you and I will discuss it and come back in January and
Okay.
reveal our findings at that time. All right. The item number 6B is the status of commissioner training courses completed. So we've kind of covered this all. Maybe, I don't know if anybody can, Courtney, I don't know if you're familiar with the process here and what's required. You may, or if there's any waivers that are.
I don't know about any waivers, but
Yeah.
I'm aware of the training, and I think I have a little bit more time, but I'm planning to do it ASAP. Yeah.
Okay,
I
great.
think I have until like the beginning of next year, but I just want to do it.
Okay,
and-
I just want to make sure you're familiar with what's being asked.
Yes, to complete this. The
Okay.
training modules, or
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Clear.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any updates to their status? I think we're
I
approaching our due dates here.
I did one,
Okay,
like the first module.
okay, great.
I have 2 more to do. 2
Mhm.
more.
Okay.
Yeah, I did the first module and I opened the second module, but I didn't get a chance to complete it yet. So I'm just gonna knock that out this weekend.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
And myself, I've done one before, and I'm gonna have to finish that.
Okay.
And complete the rest of them by the weekend as well.
Okay. Guess what? Homework is due in January, right? So,
And
okay.
just let Christine know whenever
Mhm.
you're done.
Exactly, Mr. Chairman, yeah, if everybody could email Christine,
Mhm.
just let her know. She's keeping a tab on it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks. All right. Moving along here. We still got about 10 minutes before the hearing is to take place. So I believe we can move to 7, correspondence. And so this is where we've kind of gone through and looked at the minutes of the previous other commissions. We've got some on here that are actually 2 months old now. They go back to October, especially if you may want to read them just to get familiarized with what's going on in some of the other commissions on here. Really, I think usually we note items that may be relevant to the planning commission, that, maybe are petition, areas that we've either covered or may be covering in the future. I don't know if anybody had any chance to look at them, and is there anything that they want to bring up at this time?
I think it was a typo.
Sorry?
I think it was a typo.
Uptight?
Yeah, like.
Well, this is more just for our knowledge and understanding. We're not approving the minutes. Yeah.
I feel like the address is missing here.
Okay. That's something that they would review.
Yes.
Yeah, there
I'm
was,
sorry.
oh, no, it's fine. There was one thing I had a question about. I see that, on October 2nd, they discussed the local transportation capital improvement plan. Is that available, is there like a PDF of that would be available online, or?
I'm not sure that I've seen it. I'm sure, it should be.
Okay.
Yeah, it was part of the meeting.
Would you like it? Yeah, I'd like to look at it.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay. There were a couple things that popped up in, it's not gonna move there. I think in some of the zoning meetings that took place, that were things that we had covered in our previous meetings, just if you want to see what took place afterwards and how they concluded. Anything you'd like to bring up, or anything that you see in here that we wish we should discuss?
Not from me.
Okay. Yeah, zoning had some, a couple areas that we had covered. They had some hearings on some of those. I don't know if you're interested in the details of it, they're there.
I have a clarifying question, maybe
Sure.
if you can speak to, I'm looking at the Economic Development Commission.
Mm-hmm.
This is maybe just for my edification since I'm new here, but they mentioned under old business their strategic action plan update. So
Yeah,
I'm wondering if you could just speak
do you know?
a little bit to like how that,
Where is this now?
this is on page
really
124 of
appreciate it. Thank you.
149.
Do you know
Town
what
of
that was regarding?
Brookfield
Like
Economic
road-
Development
like
Commission
capital improvement
meetings.
for roads?
last
124?
From October
For the
17th,
federal- was it for the-
2023.
Oh, October, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm
looking at
sorry, yeah.
November, Yeah.
It's attachment page
Is
1
that
of
for the part that
4,
would extend up to like Newberry Village?
page
or-
124 of 149.
Okay, yeah, no, I'd love to look.
Um,
I appreciate it though.
It's just a little note that says they were going to discuss their action plan update and strategic goals, and I was just wondering if you could speak to whether and how that interacts with the conservation and development.
124?
Mm-hmm.
Let me just see if I can find it
Yeah.
for you. What number?
Number 5 under old
Oh, I
business.
see here now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's that's really their own strategic goals. Of course, that could tie into what we do
Right.
down the road.
Looks like some of the other like
Yeah.
issues on their agenda would be relevant to a general town plan. So I was just wondering, yeah, where that
Yes.
interaction comes in to play with the
Yeah.
economic development. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's a good point to bring up.
Yeah.
I think obviously as we go forward with that, we're going to have to bring in some input and
Yeah.
further
Okay.
discussion.
Cool. That's great. I mean, it's
Yeah.
some exciting things showing up on their agenda. So.
I think, okay. So we are, I don't think there's any further discussion on item number 7 with review, the minutes of the other commissions. It's about, what, 7:43, so we're scheduled to have the public hearing in 2 minutes, so at 7:45, right? I think we can just wait and give folks a moment to see if there's anybody else who wants to come in and be part of this.
Scott, I have a quick question.
Mhm.
I think Christine mentioned the calendar for 2024, that it didn't make the agenda, but I guess was it just an FYI?
I thought we agreed to that last meeting,
It's
no?
all done, okay, she must have just
Yeah.
put it in there.
Yes. Okay.
Is the microphone on?
I need a bigger desk. Sorry, I'm keeping in your space there.
No, it's okay.
All right. All right.
I have to read the legal statement first.
Right.
When you're ready. Another minute.
One more minute. We'll try to be precise.
TikTok.
Do you have a laptop you want to hook up? Oh, no, I mean, you have it off your. I mean, I have it up here. Yeah, it'll take me a few minutes to get it all set up.
I can present with this.
Yeah. I didn't know, I would have brought that.
We're old school.
I want to get it.
So I believe I'm gonna go this. Okay, yeah, that's, and there's correspondence as well. Right. There's a whole group bunch, no, not that.
It's a subdivision.
Some of this stuff. we can just read. This one.
When was the last time?
Yep, exactly.
A few concerns.
All right. So, so the planning commission will now go into a public hearing. This is a regular meeting of the Brookfield Planning Commission. Tonight we have a public hearing concerning PL 23 4. This is for 60 Wiscaneer Road. Application for subdivision. First, I will introduce the members of the commission present here this evening. And I'll go start this way. We have Courtney Knapp, we have Michael Duvall, myself, which is Scott Dale, Aga Stepniak, and Mark Lowengart. Okay. We will open this public hearing by calling upon the commission secretary to read the legal notice of this hearing.
Okay. Brookfield's Planning Commission will hold a public hearing on 12/7/23 at 7:45 at Town Hall, 100 Pocono Road, room 133, RE 60 Wisconsin Road, PL-23-4, application for 3-lot subdivision by Amula Nori, 55A Toddy Hill Road, Sandy Hook. At this hearing, interested parties may speak and written communications shall be received. Files may be inspected at Brookfield Town Hall.
This application was formally received by the commission from the Brookfield Land Use Department on November 2nd, 2023. The public hearing is only one aspect of the approval process, and is for the purposes of accepting factual information and data bearing on this application and to allow expression of opinion by interested parties. Subsequent to this hearing, the commission will render a decision on the proposed plan. The final decision may be in the form of approved as submitted or approved with amendments to the proposed plan or denied. The application will be presented by the applicant or representing parties. The chair will then entertain questions of clarification concerning the applicant's presentation. We will hear from those who wish to speak in favor of the proposed plan, followed by those who are opposed. Comments must be limited to 5 minutes. Members of the public will have one opportunity to speak during this segment of the hearing and may also submit their concerns in writing during the public hearing. During this segment, the commissioners may ask additional questions. The bylaws of the commission only allow for the presentation of similar positions in succession and preclude the intermixture of comments pro or con. All questions and comments must be directed through the chair, acting chair. As you are recognized, please state your name and address so that your comments may be legally recorded. Please be assured that everyone will be given the opportunity to speak. However, the commission is most interested in hearing factual information relative to the application, and in view of the time constraints placed upon us, we ask your indulgence in not reiterating comments previously presented. Are there any questions? All right. So the chair is now prepared to hear the applicant's presentation.
Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Peter Olson. I'm an attorney with an office in Bethel at 275 Greenwood Avenue. My firm name is Land Use and Conservation Counsel. I'm here tonight on behalf of Amanullah Nori. He's the owner of the property at 60 Wisconsin Road, and he's seated in the third row, waving his hand at you. Our project engineer, Steve Sullivan of CCA, is here as well, seated here. He sent out the legal notices for the hearing and would like to submit them for the record. By way of brief introduction, the property contains about 15 acres of land, and the proposal is to divide it into 3 lots of 2.3, 2.3, and 4.0 acres, and an open space parcel of 6.4 acres. The open space is adjacent to other town-owned open space on Powderhorn Hill Road, and it is our intention to convey this open space to the town. In connection with this subdivision application, we have requested a waiver of a section of the subdivision regulations. Section 234-805 allows the Planning Commission to grant a waiver with a 3/4 vote. So that'd be 4 out of 5, if my math is correct. Provided that, and there's 5 conditions in the regulations, such waiver is based on conditions which affect the subject land and are not generally applicable to other land in the area. Such waiver will not have a significant adverse effect on public health and safety or on adjacent property. Such waiver will permit the retention of natural or man-made features of the property or preserve and retain historic or aesthetic features of the property. Such waiver shall not have any adverse effect on the comprehensive plan of development and conservation of the area or town. Compliance to the regulations sought to be waived would make development of the land unduly restrictive and would not take into account the particular features of the land in question. So those are the standards set forth in your regulations for granting a waiver. The specific waiver that we're requesting is of section 234.204B.2, which limits the number of houses that can be served by a common driveway to 3. The commission, under your regulations, may allow common driveways if the commission believes that they provide the safest means to access to and from a town road. And we believe that to be the case here. Steve Sullivan, the project engineer, submitted a letter into the record addressing these issues, and we'll go into them in detail a little later on. But I did want to note that the reason we have an issue with the common driveway limitation is that this parcel of land has 50 feet of frontage on Wiskineer Road, State Route 25. Just pointing at the plan, you can see the 50 feet of frontage right here. And traversing this 50 feet of frontage is the entrance driveway for the adjacent Cedarbrook Common Interest Community. This is perfectly legal for that to occur. It is conducted pursuant to easement rights that were granted by the original joint owner of the two properties. Well, I say granted, retained by the original owner when one of the parcels was conveyed out in a deed recorded in volume 85 at page 224, and subsequent transfers of the property that's the subject of the application included language here subject to this easement. So there's nothing incorrect about the driveway existing there. That was always intended. But when Cedarbrook Common Interest Community was developed, it was not developed as a subdivision. It was developed as a common interest community pursuant to approvals granted by the Zoning Commission, which allowed 32 houses, homes, units, however you want to describe it. So it was never subjected to this requirement of the subdivision regulations. There are no other recorded agreements governing the access. Since our parcel is currently undeveloped, the Cedarbrook Common Interest Community manages and pays for the maintenance of this driveway entirely on their own. Once there is development on our parcel, including the portion abutting Wiskineer Road, we expect that we'll have to share those expenses. That's very clear. A written agreement would be better, sure. But if not, the statutes provide for a fallback for shared driveways and imposes obligations to share expenses on all the owners who benefit from it. General Statutes 47-42F, specifically including snow plowing and maintenance of the driveway. So nobody should be concerned that we're trying to get something for nothing over this driveway that does cross our property. So with that, I think I'm done talking about legal stuff, and let Steve Sullivan go into the engineering side of this. Thank you.
Good evening. For the record, Steve Sullivan, professional engineer with CCA LLC. I created an aerial exhibit map. That's good too. So this is a 15-acre parcel on the west side of Route 25. And there's a 52-foot right-of-way that gives access to Route 25 for the 15-acre parcel. It's all wooded except for a strip of land that a prior owner gave the WDCA for the sewer that runs through the property. That sewer is for Wiskineer Village, and eventually it's for Cedarbrook condos. This property has no rights to use that sewer. We cannot tie into that sewer. It's a dedicated line for the condominiums. And as Attorney Olson just mentioned, there's an easement over that right-of-way for the access driveway for Cedarbrook condominiums. Our proposal is for 3 single-family homes, about 200 or so feet off of Wiskineer Road is where we propose to veer off, if you will, with the dedicated common driveway for the 3 homes. So the first couple hundred feet will be shared with the Cedarbrook condo users as well. So each lot will have its own septic system. It's got its own roof recharge stormwater system, and it'll serve by Aquarium Water Company, which is the water main in Wiskineer Road. And they'll have to run a service line to service those 3 homes. As you can see, I kind of outlined the hatch green is the area that's not going to be disturbed. we highlighted the 3 homes in yellow. The northern part of the parcel, the western part of the parcel would be open space. That's this green area here, and that adjoins town-owned open space off of Powder Horn Hill Road. And the reason we couldn't go access from Powder Horn is there's a large wetland system on that side of the property, so we never get approval to build a driveway. So lot 1 is 2.3 acres, lot 2 is 4.07 acres, lot 3 is 2.29 acres, the open space is 6.4 acres. We have received inland wetlands approval for this development. There is a bond estimate in the development report for pins and monuments and erosion controls. That's $32,995. The staff report that was issued on November 2nd, just to clarify a couple things. So our common driveway is 850 feet long, that's the maximum length of the common driveway, which ends right about here. So from this last point in the common driveway, the maximum driveway length to any of the homes cannot exceed 150 feet. So that's 150 feet to that house right there. The other 2 driveways are shorter driveways. But I just wanted to clarify that because I think Laura Bykowski didn't exactly know where the end of the common driveway was, but the common driveway is at 850, and then the single-family driveway is 150. And we mentioned that she talked about open space, and we're proposing that with the 6.4 acres to be deeded to the town. And then the only other thing she mentioned, and what we just mentioned, is the waiver request for the 3 homes on the common driveway that's shared with the Cedar Brook condos. Couple more things here. There were some comments from the association. I just kind of wanted to go over a few of those and answer some of those questions. We did place a stake last week of where the center line of the driveway is off of the shared portion, just so unit owners can see where we're proposing to veer off. And the applicant's going to document the condition prior to construction of that first couple hundred feet. We'll take pictures and videotape that and make sure we'll document if there are any issues. But if there's any damage in that first couple hundred feet as a result of the construction, the applicant's responsible to repair those issues. There is no access west of our proposed common driveway. There seemed to be some confusion about maybe accessing off of a gravel driveway that's further on the Cedar Brook condo property, but there's no proposed access further to the west to this property from Cedar Brook. And so none of the runoff from the common driveway or the site itself will run off into Cedar Brook property or the Cedar Brook drainage system. There's no connection there at all. Just want to clarify that. There are no lights proposed for the common driveway. That's usually not part of a single-family subdivision. Even town roads don't require lights for residential single-family homes. As I mentioned, we can't hook up to the sewer, so we have 3 individual septic systems. Site's been tested and witnessed by the health department and the sanitarian. Site will also be served by Eversource Power. They will determine how they want to run the lines, but it'll be if they run the lines from Route 25, it'll be in the shoulder of the right-of-way to provide power to those 3 homes. But ultimately, that's their design is by Eversource. And as we mentioned earlier, I did submit a letter requesting the waiver for the common driveway. In our opinion, adding 3 homes to the shared portion would not be detrimental or harmful to any users of that driveway, meaning Cedar Brook and the homeowners. It's safer, in our opinion, to have 1 curb cut on Wisconsin Road rather than shifting driveways and building 2 side-by-side driveways out onto Wisconsin Road. Based on my experience with the DOT, they'd rather have 1 curb cut rather than having 2 curb cuts right next to each other. So I think, that would cover the proposal, so I can answer any questions or clarify things for the commission at this point.
Seeing as that the driveway from Wisconsin to the cutoff there is gonna be torn up for Aquarium's gonna have to lay pipe, Eversource is gonna have to lay
Right.
electrical.
Yep.
It would probably be, you know, are you gonna repave that whole area
Yeah,
then to the
if we-
stake?
Yeah, so right now.
Instead
I
of patch,
showed-
I mean, you're not just gonna put a patch where the pipe is, you know
No,
what I
no,
mean?
so
Just-
we're gonna try to do it off the road in the grass area here. But if they want it in the pavement, yeah,
Oh, that's what
whatever,
I'm saying, all right.
whatever's damaged from construction, we'll repair it, the applicant will repair it. But we're gonna try to keep it off of that existing curb line.
I mean, after everything is said and done, will they come back and then repave that? Because some of the machines might tear up some of the old.
Right,
You know,
right, yeah,
just-
yeah. A common
just
repair
for,
is just the mill and overlay that.
You know, just to make the other people feel, they would,
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd feel better with a nice new driveway after
Yeah.
it's been, you know, oh, there's a pothole, wasn't there before.
Right,
and then,
absolutely,
you
yeah,
know.
that's why we'll document everything beforehand, and then, once they, kind of complete the common driveway, then we could assess the drivers again and repair it.
And these are all single-family
Yes,
homes?
single-family homes, yes.
Are any of them affordable housing? Is
No.
one 830G or
No.
something like that? All right. So I figure if there's
This is
3,
the
sometimes they'll make it.
This is the RA, this is 2 RA80 zone, R80
Okay.
zone, so 2-acre zone roughly, and, they all meet the minimum lot area requirements.
Okay, and you're not hooking to the WPCA, not to the, at all? That's all I have.
Anybody have any points of clarification at this point on the board?
I have one question. Would the
Okay.
power lines be above ground or buried?
Below, they're
Below.
required to be below ground.
Below, okay.
I have, is there gonna be a written contract for the driveway repairs and, like,
So, you mean during construction?
right?
So there's an acknowledgement of responsibility in the development report that when they do subdivisions, that
Okay.
the developer is responsible for repairs or any damage to an existing infrastructure.
Okay,
I mean, in this case, it's the driveway, that shared driveway.
and that's gonna be inspected by the town, like, who's gonna?
This is, nope, this would be inspected by both parties, us
Okay.
and the Cedar Brook County, because it's a private access.
Okay.
So the town has nothing to do with that part.
I wondered if you could just say a little bit more about your thoughts around the portion that you're planning to deed to the town. Are there plans to put any kind of like conservation easements or anything on it in order to make sure that it stays open space or,
Well, that
yeah?
is, so with the designation of open space, it is conserved.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
It's all
Fabulous.
conserved as is.
Okay.
And it, it makes sense, you got access from Powderhorn Hill, from really just walking through it, really.
Mm-hmm,
And it's adjacent to all the town
mm-hmm,
space.
mm-hmm.
The other thing, you said that the common driveway, you're gonna use up to 850 feet of length,
The maximum, yeah. so
which
that's-
that's the maximum that you can.
Yeah, that's from Wisconsin Road to the end of the common driveway.
Okay, that's pretty close, You're right at the limit.
Yeah.
Anything else?
So I think we can proceed from this point. I mean, I'll just mention the 234-204B2, just for those of you who haven't had a chance to dig into the subdivision regulations. What that says is, under B2, common driveways to service more than one lot are allowed when, in the opinion of the commission, they provide the safest means of access to and from the town road. Additional considerations for a common driveway shall include but not be limited to: a common driveway may serve no more than 3 houses on each and will have a maximum length of 850 feet. All common driveways shall have a minimum of 50 feet of frontage on the public road. Common driveways are to be a minimum of 18 feet wide. And then all common driveways shall be constructed to town standards, except for the width, and have a shared maintenance agreement in the form approved by the town attorney. The subgrade, subbase, and 1/2 of bituminous concrete for all the common driveways must be installed prior to issuance of certificates of occupancy for homes proposed to be built off these common driveways. So, just so everybody's aware of what that is.
And Steve, just can you state for the record that we comply with every provision there except for the 3 houses?
We do comply with that regulation.
Okay. All right. Thank you. At this point, next step in this process, I believe, is we shall ask the secretary to proceed with the reading of the received correspondence, which was already alluded to, I believe.
That's just a cover, right? Yeah, it's okay. Three pages?
Uh,
I have hard copies of ours, if you would like them now.
Do you have hard copies of that?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
It's the same one, all right?
Yeah, I think perhaps,
I was warned.
Thank you.
All right, the rest is, yeah, it's the top 3 pages.
You find it?
Yes, thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
The other ones are just
Need
the,
lunch?
yeah, those are the signatures.
just the signatures for
Right.
the people.
All the
all right,
signatures are
okay.
separate, 21 submitted. We have 16 buildings,
Well, we're just trying,
32 units.
yeah, we're just gonna read into the correspondence at this point, and then, yeah, proceed from there.
Okay.
Mhm.
We, the members of Cedar Brook Owners, Inc., wish to lay out in this letter to the Building and Planning Commission our concerns about the proposed Nori subdivision and land abutting ours. We are a condominium complex that has been part of Brookfield community for approximately 50 years. The driveway access. Why is the building site not being accessed from Powder Horn Hill Road? If our driveway is to be shared, exactly where will the turnoff be located into the subdivision? We would like to see a projected photo of our driveway at the public hearing portion of the December 7th meeting so that we can see the actual proposed location of the split as opposed to a line on a schematic. The impact of heavy construction vehicles routinely using our driveway. During construction, how will the traffic movement be controlled at our entrance during the pickup and drop-off times of our school buses? Right now, the students are often driven to the entrance by their parents, with the parents blocking half of the driveway entrance or parking on the lawn despite the prohibitions by the association. We are concerned with the wear and tear on our driveway caused by the construction-related heavy vehicles. We would expect that the owner of the development would pay to have our driveway repaved from Route 25 to their turnoff when the construction project is completed. We wonder how long it will take to complete the construction project. The post-construction impact of the location of the proposed driveway extension. The steep descent of the driveway in snowy weather can be dangerous. Even with a cleared road, those driving to the lower level rarely turn their wheels much before hitting the flats of the driveway below, lest the shift alter the vehicle's trajectory and the vehicle begins to slide. The placement and design of the split needs to take that into consideration. Splitting the driveway lower on its slope will impact the private enjoyment of the patio spaces attached to units 13 and 14. These units see no traffic along the access road to the pump station except for the infrequent visits of the town's maintenance vehicle. The construction of a road extension as well as the 3 homes located on it would change that situation dramatically. Should those Cedarbrook units be occupied by families with children, the concern for their safety would grow exponentially. The resale of those units would also become more challenging. Note, in heavy snowfalls, the cleared snow is piled at each end of our driveway on the lower level, as we have nowhere else to dump it. Given the spaces occupied by parked cars on the property, where would it go with an access and road occupying all or part of that space at the bottom of the driveway hill? Who would now be responsible for paying for its removal from the property? Note, the impact of the snow melt after heavy storm, as well as the drain off starting from Route 25 during and after heavy rains, already challenge our drainage catch basins. How will the construction of this subdivision impact this area, which is already very wet? And what of the soil erosion during the post-construction? Is it a routine consequence of the movement of so much water? The wetlands behind Cedarbrook are critical to the prevention of further flooding below them. Unlike Route 25, our driveway is not constructed to support regular traffic of heavier vehicles like school buses. Moreover, we have the bituminous curbs that are going to break up with the vehicles running over them. How are the children who will live in these new homes going to get to school? Will they walk out of their subdivision and up to the bus stop where the children of our complex wait? As mentioned above, parents now drive their kids to our entrance, blocking half of the driveway entrance or parking on the grass despite the prohibitions of the association. Would the town change the pickup locations for kids in Cedarbrook condos and the homes of the subdivision? Will they create a pull-off spot nearby where the children in both locations can gather without blocking the entrance to the complex? The complex area adjacent to the extension split is currently not well lit after dark so as to properly support additional traffic. Will the subdivision add lighting, and how will that impact units that occupy the abutting areas of our condominium complex? Large and tall overhead lights would flood our units with unwanted light in the evening and overnight hours. The installation of ancillary services to the subdivision. Will Aquarian lay water pipes to these homes, or will the homes be serviced by well water? If the former is the case, what exact path will the new pipes take in relation to the easement property and to Cedarbrook's property? Where will the hook-in begin? Will the homes be serviced by sewer or septic systems? If by the former, will the developer excavate the length of our property to hook up the pump station at the end of the access road? Where will the hook-in begin? Note, if the former, will the town of Brookfield WPCA be back to charging this easement property owner his share of the benefit assessment that everyone connected to the sewer line extension has been paying? The property was not included in the benefit assessment because it didn't have frontage on Route 25 or West Wisconsin. It would be clearly benefiting them. It would be clearly benefiting him now. Will Eversource create a self-contained meter grid for the subdivision, or will it be tied into Cedarbrook's electrical connection? Maintenance costs and responsibilities. We are concerned about the prorated share costs of the shared part of our driveway, including insurance, liability, workman's comp, property insurance, driveway lighting, landscape and snow removal, signage identifying the addresses of the property, tree maintenance and removal, catch basin, and driveway drain maintenance and replacement. We thank you for your attention to our concerns. respectfully submitted on behalf of Cedarbrook Owners, Inc., at the direction of the Board of Directors by Denise Hoffman, Unit 22, a resident owner since 1987.
Okay.
And the rest is supporting, just supporting
Letters.
signatures, letters from the rest, some of the other owners.
Signatures, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
That's about it.
Okay. So at this point, does the audience have any questions of clarification before we hear comments pro or con?
Scott,
Yes,
do you want to ask them to come to the podium so you can hear them on the microphone?
Certainly.
And choose to, and their address?
yes, okay, certainly. Okay, so the chair is now prepared to recognize those who wish to speak in favor of this application. Again, speakers must state their names and their addresses when they do so. Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on. The chair is now prepared to recognize those who wish to speak in opposition to this application. And again, speakers must state their names and addresses. Anybody would like to speak?
I project very well in a classroom, so I don't.
Go ahead.
Do I? Denise Hoffman at 60 Wisconsin Road, number 22. We submitted those concerns because we were looking for answers. We've heard a good deal about the construction piece, but the real life after construction is over and its impact on our property is a big concern. I can't imagine those children getting up to a bus stop in the snow, nor their parents adding their cars to what's already a blocked entrance. It's crazy. You're gonna make it a town road halfway down and take away part of our driveway? I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense practically to us. It truly interferes with the privacy of certain units, the value of certain units for resale. Would somebody really want to buy in a condominium that's got traffic now coming in and out that's not related to where they live? All good questions, and I'd like to know how the commission or the developer is going to answer our questions, so they ease our mind, or you guys decide that it wasn't developed for 50 years for a reason.
Okay,
And that's my thought.
all right. Are there any, would anybody else like to speak in opposition to this application? Please step up one at a time and just, again, state your name and your address, please.
I live directly across the street from the driveway.
Would you mind stepping up to the podium, please?
No, that's okay, go ahead.
Okay. And please state your name and address.
Hi, Tim Grosky, 60 Wisconsin Road, Unit 14. The unit has been in my family since it was built. We've been owners ever since. And I have one of the units that face the property to be built. So there's nobody in my backyard, so potentially there's going to be somebody new in the backyard. So my concerns are the privacy and the traffic coming in and out. So I oppose the project. Thank you.
Please step up if
His
anybody else
name and
like to.
address?
My name is George Franklin. I live at 61 Wisconsin Road, directly across from the driveway, Cedarbrook. I bought the first lot in Green Ridge when I come out of the service. But what happens at nighttime when people come out of that driveway with their headlights on, it hits my house. I planted trees there and this and that, but it's still, the light comes in the house unless we pull the curtains, which I don't really like to do, but it happens. And like I said, we bought the first house in Green Ridge, and we never had a problem really until lately with the people coming out of that one single driveway. But you can see on the map there where
where the driveway is, and my house is right there, almost diagonally across the street from it. Now, if we get another, how many houses in there? And, the other thing would be, anything happens down back, you only have one access in, which is, not very smart, because if something happens and you can't get in there, you can't fight a fire or get an ambulance in there or nothing. You should have at least two accesses in there. Thank you.
Anybody else? Please, again, state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Franz Gerens here. I live at 72 Wiskineer Road. The last little parcel at the corner. What got me going on this is because about the same time the sewage line was being put in, I noticed in the back of my property from the edge, about 150 feet, I noticed about 3 or 4 people with a small backhoe putting a pipeline in. Nobody seems to know what that pipeline was all about. I've looked around, nobody seems to know. Finally, somebody suggested I go to the WPCA, and what they did was give me the website for those plots, and told me to give these maps, overlays, told me to try for that. Again, nothing. Well, what I did find, I'm not sure what the criterion is or how recently updated it was, but on one of the overlays from the Connecticut DEP for wetland soil, and pretty much covers everything. So like I said, I can't vouch for the criteria or anything like that. And I double checked with Allison at WPCA because I'm not that great with computers, and I was using the one at the library. So I went back, I double checked with her, and she used her unit, and she got the same identical item. The entire area is covered for wetland soil. And while I was there today, I had to go back there, and I thought I'd try something else also. This is the Brookfield overlay for the 2013 FEMA map, and I believe it's a little bit of a flood area right up on that corner. I'm not sure how that applies on that. Okay, like I said, I'm not sure how everything falls into place, but I just thought I'd bring that up. And the other thing is, on a personal note, I'm not crazy about all the wildlife displacement. And there's going to be a lot of it, including those 3 bears. All right? I'm not sure how much land is being set aside, but I doubt if it's going to be enough. All right, thank you. Thanks for your time.
Anyone else?
I'm Daniela Rosado, Unit 11 at 60 Wiskineer Road. I'd like to touch on one piece. So with the school buses and the parking up there, I'm Unit 11, and where you guys put the proposed driveway is directly like diagonal from my unit. That gentleman that is affected by lights, I will also be affected now, as that's my back sliding doors. So the cars that would be coming out of that driveway are going to be directly diagonal to my back door. Tim with the privacy, our privacy is now going to be taken away because the house that we're directly near at least has like trees blocking us. This gentleman with the wildlife, I hear coyotes all the time at night. I have a dog, and they're going to now be closer to our unit, so I'm not okay with that. So I'm very opposed to this project on all the points that people listed. I can also vouch for. And that's it.
My name is Matthew Rosato, same unit. And just to add to her, in addition with the new construction, with the way our drainage is, we drain to those wetlands. With the new construction, their drainage would be draining to what would be presumably the same areas now where we drain to. And we already have problems with the drainage as it is. With their units now draining into the same areas, I feel like that's gonna cause a lot of flooding issues, since we already have problems as it is. They're taking away the wetlands that are drainage spots and flowing into where we have to flow, so.
Mr. Boyd?
So again, Daniela, Unit 11, 60 Wisconir. In addition to what he said about the drainage, the unit that we're attached to, Unit 12, has bad drainage that this person invested in adding their own sub pump. So,
Okay.
in addition to that.
Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in opposition to the application? No? Okay. We can proceed.
Sorry, Peter Olson on behalf of the applicant again. I just have a couple of comments and then I'll ask Steve to address some of the engineering questions. Just to reiterate the situation is the Cedar Brook driveway exists on my client's property, on Nori's property. He owns the land and we've proposed improvements to the land that he owns. Just want to make sure we're all clear about that. Cedar Brook has a right to pass and repass over it and maintain that driveway. That's correct. But that does not preclude my client from using the land for any purposes permitted by the regulations. There are wetlands on this property. There's no question about that. Steve, can you point out where the wetlands are?
So we had, Steve Sullivan for the record, we had a professional soil scientist delineate the wetlands on the property. There's a pocket of wetlands north of lot 2, and then there's a larger wetlands in the western portion of the open space. We are not taking away any wetlands.
That's what I was going to say.
Filling any wetlands, they're all staying there, we're not touching them. So, and we're handling our drainage. None of our drainage is going on to Cedar Brook's property. Zero. And our homes are all gonna be discharged into what we do typically these days in the engineering world is we take the roof leaders and put them into underground galleries to recharge that water. Let's see what else here. And there is no 100-year floodplain on this property. Nearest 100-year floodplain is the Still River. It's way down. There's no floodplain on this property.
But to reiterate what Steve had said earlier, we applied for a permit with the Wetlands Commission, and that permit was granted. So the Wetlands Commission has already reviewed this and has no concerns. I do see the merit to the criticism that some cars on the driveway, the common driveway, coming out facing into Cedar Brook may be an issue. My suggestion is that we can deal that with a condition of approval on that lot, which I think is lot 1, that there be screening installed at the bend of that common driveway in that location on this property, on lot 1. I think that would resolve that concern. There isn't really anything we can do about the headlights coming out onto Wisconir. This is a state highway. They're not going to want us to put screening there. That would create sightline issues. Our position would be that there's already 32 homes worth of traffic causing that problem. Adding 3 more is not going to be a significant increase in that. So that's all the response comments that we have. If the commission has more questions, we're happy to answer them. Thank you.
At this point, are there any questions or comments that the commission may have as part of this hearing?
No, not me.
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw in the letter from the homeowners, the question about just I guess the competition for space, particularly with respect to the school bus. Kind of parking, I understand that that's not something that you guys can control where people are parking, whether that's like illegal or not, but there was a suggestion in there about thinking about some way to maybe accommodate that. So I'm just wondering if you've given any thought to that, and just what your thoughts are on that point that they brought up.
I mean, I don't really know how many cars park up there from Cedarbrook. But, you know, a pull-off is 1 or 2 cars if you did do a pull-off, not, I don't know if it's more than that, but you know, I'd personally rather not add impervious surface. You know, that's the goal, you wanna minimize the amount of impervious surface, which is your paved driveways and that sort of thing. But, you know, I don't see the school bus company changing the bus stop. I mean, makes sense to keep it there.
I don't think it's behavior that's enforceable by anybody. The association said they have rules against it, doesn't stop it. You know, we could put rules in for our house, it's just not gonna stop it. What, you're gonna call the police because somebody's waiting for their kids to, it's just a difficult enforcement problem that isn't experienced only at this property. You know, I assume it's experienced in many places in the town, so.
Has all the lot lines and everything been staked out already?
No, we will monument them after it's built, and that's part of the bond.
Have you actually considered the impact, like to create an access entry from the other side of the property, like building a bridge?
It's not possible because of the wetlands that are there.
You'll never get a wetland, it's too large of a wetland to cross.
What else is there? You wouldn't want to make a double width driveway, so, you know what I mean?
Whereabouts?
Right where the entrance is, just a,
Well, this is already 21 feet wide. I mean, that's wide enough. And then the actual common driveway to the 3 homes is 18 once it veers off.
As Steve said at the initial presentation, we could do a second driveway here. It's still a common driveway for us, so it's sort of 3 homes. But the state DOT is going to strongly disfavor that.
right, to cut.
They have control over the state highway. It would add a second curb cut and exacerbate any issues that are there today.
I was just trying to think of some way to alleviate the concerns of the tenants that live there already that, you know, I don't know if that would make any difference if it was a little extra.
I don't think it would. Yeah, I don't think it would make any difference.
Extra
It would,
10 feet or
yeah,
something, you know.
The issue would still be there.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
The gentleman across the street would still get traffic this
It would
time
get
with
more because
2 driveways worth. Yeah.
There's more to the left when you come out.
Any other questions or comments
I have
as
one
part of this hearing?
Just one question would be, so where the driveways intersect, is there a clear line of sight so that people would know to yield and then there would be collision avoidance? You know,
Yeah, this area right here, this little triangular piece will be open.
Okay.
So that's what, and then what Attorney Olson was saying is like, right at the bend, we can put the evergreen screening is typically what's done. So that when people are going south, it attenuates the lights from the car. But then once you get up to this point here, this will be open so they can see.
Okay. And do you think there would be a possible need for like one of those convex mirrors or something to improve safety?
No, you know what we could do, we'll put a stop sign right at the end of our driveway.
Okay.
Steve, can you just highlight the picture that you have over there, the satellite?
Yep, so this is the aerial photo of the whole surrounding area, and it shows our 3 homes with the proposed driveway coming off of the existing driveway in this location, which is depicted on our site plans as well. But you can, you know, if you make that a condition to add a stop sign
Yeah,
at the end of our common driveway, that's fine.
I think that would be a good condition.
Just going back to the area, the open space proposal that you made. Can you just clarify what that is and how that, what we're suggesting here as far as the process and so forth? What I understand in the notes here is that no land is being preserved as open space within this proposal.
That was our initial meeting.
Right.
And then we talked about how we could propose open space since there's land. we were originally gonna just incorporate all this in lot 3,
Mhm.
but we have enough space to make lot 3 meet the minimum building, area and provide the 15% of open space to the town. And it, you know, the fact that it's contiguous to other open space, it makes sense, to convey that to the town.
Okay.
Which would satisfy the open space part of that regulation.
Any other comments, questions from the commission regarding this
How-
application?
How is the excavating work and all that construction work gonna affect, the flow of water and the wildlife and stuff like that?
You know, so, I think any construction project, or most construction projects on undeveloped land, you know, we're gonna stake out the clearing limits. They'll clear those properties, and they'll put in our silt fence, which gets inspected by the land use office. And then they start excavation for a foundation. These are typical foundations with footing drains around them. They'll discharge onto each property. Yeah, so there is some, you know, overall, we're maintaining a high percentage of this property is undisturbed, undeveloped, and that's what you wanna see. And we're really trying to minimize the amount of, tree clearing and earthwork, and that's, we feel we meet that goal.
And you may have mentioned already, I believe you did, the maintenance, should this be moved forward. Speak to the shared maintenance agreement that would need to be in place.
Well,
Yeah,
for this part, it's
Mhm.
maintenance between those 3 property owners.
Right. Mhm.
And then the first couple 100 feet or so
Right.
will have to be a maintenance agreement between the 3 property owners and
Right.
Cedar Brook.
So we will create a shared maintenance agreement for the 3 lots that we control. And that will be subject, you know, their conveyances will be subject to that. As to whether there's an agreement with Cedar Brook, that depends on negotiation with Cedar Brook, and they're agreeing to some kind of a written agreement. If an agreement can't be reached, that's the statute that I mentioned, 47-42F, that requires that the expenses be shared in the same ratio as benefited, as the properties benefit, and including removal of snow from the easement or right away, and maintenance has to be shared as well in the same percentage. So, you know, Steve and I were kind of asking how to deal with this, and I don't know how you allocate the cost to plow a 200-foot common driveway between 2 different snowplow companies. So there's going to need to be some discussion between the parties as to how that will be taken care of. But if it's not, the statutes provide the mechanism for it, you know, if there's no agreement in place.
What was that number again?
Sorry, it's General Statute, Section 47-42F, as in Frank.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the commission? Okay. If not, thank you. Well, I believe we can close the public hearing unless there's something else.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Make a motion, I guess we should make a motion to close the public hearing? Okay. Someone do that, make that motion, please?
I'll make the motion, close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
All right. All ayes?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays? Otherwise? Okay. So the public hearing is closed this time. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Good night. Hey,
Thank you.
How you doing? What are you doing? You got an interest in here? You got
Yeah, one of the common units.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be building one of the houses.
Would love to.
How's Michael doing?
I think
doing
that
good,
goes
too?
with that.
Yeah, she's teaching school.
Oh, really? Where at?
Okay,
Oh, very nice.
Her 4th year teaching already.
a regular meeting is still going on.
Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah.
Take it
No
easy.
problem.
Are you guys gonna do it too?
I think that's what we're gonna discuss right now. If that's something we wanna do, or do we wanna?
No, yeah,
Yeah, okay. So, at this point, we can decide if we want to have some further discussion, if we want to take a motion, take a vote on this, or I believe we could push it off to the next meeting if that's something that we decide as well. Thoughts, discussion on that, on our next actions?
I think we can vote on it if, unless somebody else has other questions that not answered or clarifications.
Any thoughts? My thought is, I think there's a couple of things that have brought up that I'd like to get some further clarification on. A couple of things regarding the maintenance agreements and some of the other aspects of it as well.
Like Mark discussed, the stop sign.
Right. So I think there's a bit of information here and input that we should consider. How do the other members feel?
So what you're suggesting is that we push off a vote now to do a
Yeah.
bit more like analysis?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
think
if
that would
others
be
feel
great.
differently, but
I'd feel better if we waited until the next meeting so we can
Yeah.
review this
Have a
more.
little bit more time to.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's a lot of material to read through as
Mhm.
well.
okay.
I got through about 50 of the pages.
Okay. All right, so, anybody want to make a motion then, therefore, on that regard?
What would the motion be?
I guess to continue this till the next
To
meeting.
continue discussion.
I'll make a motion
Mm-hmm,
to continue this next meeting.
perfect. Anybody want to second that?
I second.
Okay, discussion?
No?
Okay, ayes?
Aye.
All right.
Nays? Okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, so I think we have moved through most of our agenda. I think we left off, we did 7, I believe we concluded 7. I don't think there was anything in the minutes of other commissions that we felt we needed to discuss at all at this point. So I think that we can move on to, I guess, informal discussion. Does anybody have anything they'd like to bring up? Do you have anything you'd like to bring up? And maybe you want to share, if those who are not familiar with you, some of your background. It might
Sure.
be interesting to them.
Sure. So yeah, I've been working as a urban community planner for about 15 years or so, and currently my full-time job is that I'm a professor of urban and community planning at Pratt Institute down in Brooklyn. I've been working there for about 5.5 years. I've been teaching full-time planning for about a decade, and I also have a kind of my sole proprietorship consulting business that I do some contract work primarily around housing, affordable housing, economic development, and more recently around like climate adaptation, energy efficiency, all of that kind of like movement toward kind of energy transition. So yeah, I've worked all over the country, and I am originally from this area, so I've been back here for about 3 years, and just excited to kind of get involved on the local level. A lot of my my mental energy is still focused on the city because that's where a lot of my work and teaching happens. But I want to care a lot about this town, so I want to get more involved, and that's kind of why I ended up here.
Great.
Yeah, and I'm excited to be involved in the update of the town plan, the conservation and development. So that was something that was really interesting to me when folks first approached me about potentially, running. And so I've already been hearing, in the 4 days that I've been, in this position, hearing from residents about what I think some of the priorities are. So I didn't mention this, but a lot of my work and background is in community engagement and collaborative planning. And so part of my interest in this plan update is to think about how to really engage residents and different stakeholders in this community around what that next vision might be. And so it's kind of where I'm coming from.
Have you met Greg
Yeah.
yet, Dombrowski?
I have not met Greg.
Oh.
Yeah, not yet.
You'd be right
yeah.
on, you'd be
Yeah.
right up to speed with, well, you can see everything that's happened in the town already, so.
Mhm.
The urbanization.
Yes,
of
yeah,
Brookfield,
yeah,
so-
there's definitely, even in the 3 years I've been here, there's been a
It's
lot of
been
development, yeah, for
development.
sure.
And there's more
Mhm.
buildings coming.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so while we are all, I don't know, amateurs, if you will, I guess, it's great to have someone who has more of more, I guess, experience, direct
Professional
experience in this
experience,
area, yeah,
absolutely.
professional experience in this area. Be interested certainly to hear some of your viewpoints as we move along, for sure. Yeah,
Thanks for
and
the
welcome to planning, yes.
Thanks, thank you.
Planning
it.
in Brookfield.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have anything else they'd like to bring up for, I mean, you do, I'll bring one other thing up just to keep it on the horizon, that, yeah, we do have that. That's our big task ahead of us, right? Is that, updating that plan of conservation and development. So, I guess, part of our ongoing homework will certainly be, knowing the ins and outs of that if you don't already. There's a lot there, reading, knowing our Bible, if you will. And because we'll be looking at that certainly this year, next year. There's a lot of work that goes involved with that. Yeah, and we'll start to think about some ideas. Anybody have anything else they'd like to bring up for informal discussion at this time?
Just one thing was, I know that there's been a lot of talk about the expansion of a natural gas compressor station in Brookfield, currently near the middle school. And I'm just wondering, is that an issue that would at any given time come across this board for any reason, for any sort of
It's already, FERC, Federal Energy Commission there has already, they've already voted on it and everything like that, and they're quadrupling the output of those compressors from when they first started. So I went to one of the discussions I had with the engineers and everything the year before in December. So I said, you're quadrupling the output of the compressors and everything. You're only not even half a mile from a middle school. And the blast zone right around there, they bought a couple of those houses on High Meadow there to get rid of the people that were complaining about, because constant vibration from there. If you have a pool, it was always buzzing. But I know they had a meeting, I think, last night at maybe at the library. And, it's a big concern because they're, it's not even like Brookfield gets any benefit from it. That's all compressed gas that goes to New York City. It's not like, I asked one of the engineers that was there, I said, look, if you just tapped off the pipeline and let it go to Wisconsin and, switched over to a gas, furnaces and everything like that, I think the people would be a little more receptive of it, but they didn't really want to do anything. And I said, if that's not a concern for anybody around there, all your executives should live over there on High Meadow and see how they like it. But, there was really nothing. The guys just came with keychains and like key fobs and pens, and that was it. I said, where's your environmental impact study? Oh, we don't have one. You don't have one? What about all the, the exhaust coming down 24 hours a day, 365 days a year? The emissions. I mean, I dealt with cars all my life, and I've used 5 gas analyzers and all kinds of stuff, and I said, you can't tell me that you're quadrupling the output and the emissions are going to stay the same. They said, oh, we got these all new things, blah, 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 sulfur. All right. But, they steamrolled right over Brookfield. You're not going to be able to stop it.
Is there a way for us to have some kind of benefit from them? Or
No,
this is
it
like
goes to
set
New York
and
City
done?
alone. We have no
Yeah.
benefit at all.
That's where we probably
No
could-
benefit.
Yeah, if there was such a thing, that's where you need a toll booth. So that,
Yeah, right.
If you're transporting this through our state, that's where you need a toll booth. So at least we get enough money to pay off for any
It's,
inspections and other requirements that we need.
And it's pretty
So
scary.
that's
I
my
mean,
thought.
if you remember, friend, you probably remember when we first were, applied for the first permit for the first one, that we had a big discussion. A lot of people showed up at the high school auditorium at the time. And at the time, actually, it was Richard Blumenthal was the Attorney General, and he said he didn't think it was worth tying up in litigation to fight it. So he had the chance to stop it there, but that was it. Steamrolled. Guess what? Who do you think contributed to his campaign? Gas companies. When he was running for Senate, he was still the Attorney General at the time. So
Sir, did you say that this was a federal energy facility siting board project? Is that why it's somehow like not subject to an environmental impact statement, or?
They said there's no
Yeah.
problem with it. But they couldn't come up with any kind of,
Rationale?
no, they didn't have any
Yeah.
studies or anything. I said, is there any,
I think they fall.
environmental
I
impact
think they
on
fall
the
under
ground, on the
DOT,
water, on the
if I
air?
recall.
I asked them to put one of the, there's a air analyzer that you can put like on the roof of
Yeah,
Wisconsin, just to check
Air
24 hours a
quality,
day.
yeah.
You know, for particles and, or CO2, or whichever one you want to use. But they weren't interested in doing anything.
Now, is there
Here's a pen.
Yeah,
Now,
right.
is there anything that the town can do in terms of, you know, noise ordinances, or because I know, like, for
They
example,
put mufflers on it and they
well,
covered the things, and they bought out the people that were really complaining about it. They bought the property.
yeah, but in
right
terms of
across.
in terms of enforcement, though, like I read, this is unrelated, but I read that New York City is adding a fine system, so that if your car exceeds a certain
God, that's
decibel
great.
level,
I just heard it.
then I was wondering if, like, in terms of enforcement in Brookfield, if there's like a special zone or something where
There's,
it can't exceed, like if that could be implemented in the future, and like there could be some enforcement where they would have to pay a penalty if the noise exceeds a certain level that's considered acceptable.
Right.
you know
or
what, it's
something
just the
volume-based.
vibrations. It's not even really the noise. It just, the whole area vibrates constantly. And, you know, a lot of those houses are in the blast zone. If there's an explosion there, they're gonna be
Yeah.
vaporized. I mean, it's only a few hundred feet. That's why they bought the closest house they bought out, and it's just empty. And, you know, DEEP has the last word on it, but we've been, you know, a lot of people have been sending letters. I was on the FERC website and, you know, making comments and trying to get them to, you know, not approve it. Because they started first at one compressor. It's a turbine that compresses the amount of gas going through the pipe. 9,000 horsepower turbine. Then they added another one. Now they want to add two more to quadruple the original output in the same pipes. They're not upgrading the pipes.
Right, it's the same pipe.
So it's
addition of
pretty
volume.
scary when you think about it. All the other blasts that have happened that were, you know, if you check out all the accidents across the country, they're usually in these fields away from, there's no population around them. But they even had the incident a couple of years ago in Massachusetts where one of the valves back got stuck, and all the people that had natural gas in their houses, it backfeeded and blew up a bunch of the houses, and, you know.
Yeah, it's
But,
concerning,
you know,
for sure.
DEEP, Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, has the last say. So we've been trying to, you know, send letters to them and
Yeah,
all
I
that.
thought
It's
pipelines
crazy.
fell under DOT, just from some hazardous training I've had in my past.
It's just, I don't
yeah.
know. Like I said, they've steamrolled over the town, was, you know, it's
Yeah.
too late.
Well, I know the state of New York, because this pipeline does extend through like Southeast and through a few other towns in New York. I know that there was some, that New York State was currently reviewing the environmental impact of it, and that may disrupt the progress of it, so.
Well,
I think there are some
it's
other
scary. It's a scary
concerned
thought,
citizens
you know.
out there right now who are probably trying to get together and organize and speak on this as well.
Yeah, I was concerned about when they first did it. I was like, you know, a lot of people were, you know, like I said, had the public meeting at Brookfield High School, and a lot of people were there, but, you know, nothing happened. We had the Attorney General wouldn't act on it. So he could have stopped it and he could have nipped it in the bud. But it didn't happen. So that was our last, not last, but like I said, now you know, their applications all went through. There's no way to stop it now. It's just a scary thought. I mean,
I've moved a
they-
fair amount of hazardous goods myself in my lifetime, either by rail or by boat or by other means.
Right.
So not by pipeline, no. Yeah, there's always a right way and a wrong way.
Well,
and
just
you're
like our-
controlling the volume, and usually there's rules you got to follow.
Just like the Housatonic Railroad here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tracks are well over 100 years old. Do you know how many derailments we had?
Yeah.
You know how many derailments, right, Fred? How many
there's a-
derailments we had? And
Yeah.
you know, they transport flammable liquids all the time through there. Right
Absolutely.
through Brookfield, every week. And, you know, we had right behind the post office, they derailed 2 times in the exact same place. If you look at the tracks, you stand at the tracks, they go like this. They're like spaghetti. But in New Milford, they spent over $8 million fixing up a couple of train bridges and stuff like that. We have Graffiti Bridge that's falling down. And I talked to the Army Corps of Engineers, and they said, well, it hasn't dropped. They checked the height of the bottom of it. It hasn't dropped. I said, well, look at the concrete and all the supporting trestle is falling down. They said, oh, it hasn't dropped any height. I said, you're going to wait until it falls before, you know.
No, I looked into this issue a little bit with the rails. I mean, and the apparently everything north of New Milford is owned by the state of Connecticut.
Not anymore, no. Massachusetts bought the whole rail line.
Okay, but it's still a state-owned entity, whether it's, I mean, even though it's in Connecticut, I think that, you know, Connecticut and Massachusetts must have some sort of dual control over that. But everything between where, like, White Street is in Danbury up to, like, the sort of the downtown area of New Milford is still privately owned by Housatonic. So that's
like I said, they spent tons of money in New Milford redoing the train bridges and a couple of them there.
Yeah,
I was just wondering why Graffiti Bridge is falling apart. The trestle, you can see it. And I couldn't understand why they weren't going to upgrade that or repair it.
No matter how you try to move hazardous goods, there's always some perils along the way. And by no matter what means you do it, for sure.
I'm sure a lot of people don't realize that flammable liquids, isopropyl, going through there every week.
I live on Stony Hill, so I can see the train pretty much from my house.
When you see those black tankers,
Oh, wow.
danger.
I'm at least up above, so I'm not like level with the train, but I don't, like, I can hear it slightly, but like I'm not, it doesn't really affect my house, but I can see the train. And yeah, I do notice those tankers.
And of course, all the natural gas line is right next to the train tracks. They go all together, all the way down. Wiskineer. But anyway, that's another.
Any other any comments for informal discussion? Anybody would like to bring up? No?
Yeah, that was off the rails a little bit.
Good way to summarize. All right, well, Linda usually speaks up at this point. Michael, would you like to make a motion?
Make a motion to close the meeting.
All right, is there a second?
I second.
All right, you'll second. All ayes?
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We will see you in January.
Great Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all the other ones.
I do, but not every day, just a couple days